Hello everybody, a warm welcome from EMIS and thank you for joining us this lunchtime. My name is Darren Lynn and I'm a clinical software trainer here at EMIS, as is my colleague Paul Hodson, who joins us now. So during the session, Paul will be taking you through some of the latest features which have been added to the system, which can improve your efficiency within the pharmacy, and later on we'll be showing you the changes within ProScript Connect, which bring up the latest up-to-date version for you. So while the presentation is progressing, you can post your questions in relation to the content in the chat bubble that you should see on your screens there. And we'll also have a Q&A session at the end of the session today. So I will try to answer some of those as we go through, but don't worry, we should cover those at the end of the session if needs be. So just a note, not all the features will be shown in this session. There are other live events throughout the next couple of weeks, so please check out what else is happening there. So I'm going to hand you over now to my colleague Paul Hodson, who's going to start the presentation.
Thank you, Darren, and a warm welcome to everybody who has joined us today. Today's session is about optimizing ProScript Connect. So we're going to be looking at some of the features, as Darren said, that can help improve the efficiency within the pharmacy and work towards a more secure and paperless environment for every pharmacy that's using ProScript Connect. Following looking at some of those modules which we've got lined up, we'll delve into some of the new features, as Darren says, which are the latest enhancements in the program which came out in the 126 version. And after that, Darren will handle the Q&A session. So, optimizing ProScript Connect. So, one of the new features, or recently new features that's been added to ProScript Connect is the eCDR register, the Electronic Controlled Drugs Register. ProScript Connect features a highly integrated integrated CDs to electronically record legal data on the receipt, possession and supply and adjustment of controlled drugs. It gives inspectors access to a paperless reporting if required, and it saves time and increases accuracy as there is no data needed to be transferred to external registers, paper or other electronic softwares. So let's have a look at ProScript Connect. Part of the sessions we're going to be jumping from the PowerPoint presentation into ProScript so that we can see some of the features that we're talking about. So within ProScript Connect, we will see that we have the CDR module already open here. The module can be accessed by clicking on the ProScript Connect menu in the top left-hand corner, and you'll find it under CD Manager. Or if you choose, you can create it as a link down the left-hand side in the My Shortcuts bar using the My Shortcuts Plus and adding an internal shortcut. Once into the module is split into 5 separate tabs. We have the Weekly Balance tab, which is there to manage the stock levels and view each item's running balances. And as you can see from the screen, we've got a list of drugs that we've entered into our test system, and we're able to add new CDs in. We're able to adjust the balances of those CDs that we might have in if we find any errors. We can add stock in from a goods in delivery when the driver delivers the stock. We can run weekly balance checks to make sure that our balances are correct. And we have the ability to run reports which show us each CD register individually or as a group. And we can also run some other reports in there which shows us how to run balance checks and stuff like that. The second tab is the ability to see items that are waiting to be collected, items that have been labelled but not yet collected by the patients. And I'm going to take you through a bit of a dispensing to show you how that is done. Also on here, we have an expired stock tab. This is where we can show expired stock and subsequently destroyed stock when we get round to the ability to destroy it. We also have a patient's returns module or area where we can accept returns back for certain CDs, whether it be against a patient that we have in the system or whether it's an anonymous patient who we don't have in the system. Just adding them in and allowing us to destroy them when we need to. And finally, the module has an inspector's log which gives us gives access to the inspectors to a paperless reporting module. So let's have a quick look at how the dispensing would happen within ProScript Connect. I'm going to go back to our search window and we're going to search a particular patient. And going into that particular patient, we'll just do a normal dispensing for a particular item. So we just follow through the dispensing. And as such, at the point of dispensing, do all your usual checks when it comes to making sure that the items match. At this point, it's key that you check what dispensable item is coming up in quadrant 3 of ProScript, because this is how the link is created when creating the balances within ProScript. And you'll go over that when you have training, when you go live. When you complete the script, a couple of things to point out here. You'll need to make sure that the GP logged on this screen matches the GP that's either on the script for the particular patient, and that the date of the prescription is also entered, as the system with a manual script will not let you continue unless you enter it. If you're using electronic, then these bits of information will be inputted for you. So on completion of the prescription, you'll be displayed a window which is the CD dispense goods window, which basically is a confirmatory window of everything that's just happened. The patient, the address, the drug, what you dispensed, quantity, the GP has picked up and is changeable at this point. And as you'll see, if you enter the details of the pharmacist who's logged in, you'll see the CD balance has been pulled through from our register. And at this point, we can save awaiting collection, which would drop into our area within the CD register, or we can mark it as collected at this point. What I'm going to do is just going to save awaiting collection. Usual windows pop up after dispensing and we return back to the front screen. Into the CDR manager, if I go to our weekly balances, nothing will have changed against that particular item. Our quantity has not changed because our script is sat waiting to be collected when the patient comes in and collects it, or your delivery driver takes it out. So that just gives us an overview of what the CDR manager can do. Some of the other features within ProScript Connect are the pharmacy access. The medicines manager module allows pharmacies to send medication repeat requests electronically from ProScript to a GP EMIS web workflow. This paperless process can save time in the pharmacy, no more printing out of repeats and delivering to various surgeries. Also contributes to a more joined up healthcare and accuracy, as no data is needed to be entered at either end. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to ProScript. Close the CDR module, and this time we're going to look at what the Medicines Manager will do. So the Medicines Manager module again can be found as a shortcut under the ProScript Connect menu as Medicines Manager. And again, you can also create as a shortcut down the left-hand side. Each patient that you require to use Medicines Manager for will need to be registered with a surgery which is connected to the Meds Manager module. And this is usually done by consent with the GP surgery and gaining access to their CDB number. Once set up and you come into the particular module, you can see a list of all your patients within the system and you can see a current status. This status really guides you on whether this patient is relevant for this particular service or not. Where it says that it's not eligible for the particular service, that means that their prescribing organisation is not set up with the correct prescribing organisation and not linked to the Meds Manager connection, and thus won't work. Once certain criteria have been put in place, then we'll be in a position where we'll be ready to register the particular patient. So to fulfill those criteria, the system needs to have a valid NHS number and nomination for the pharmacy for the patient, an association with a Meds Manager surgery, as mentioned earlier on, and also have consent in place against the patient's PMR. Once active, request repeats can be sent electronically direct to the meds manager area within EMIS Web at the surgery. So if I pick on a particular patient and go into their PMR, showing that this patient is now active for meds manager. So the PMR looks exactly like it would normally do, but from a repeat point of view, your F4 repeat request button now has an arrow against it. If you're not seeing this arrow against the F4 button, it's not connected properly and certain criteria need popping in place. But once you've done it, when you click on the downward arrow, you can now request repeat medication via the paper method as before, or alternatively, we can do it via the Meds Manager module. On clicking into this, we're presented with a window which will see our patient details and will list a considerable amount of medication which is set as repeatable on the GP system. It might not be what you've dispensed previously within ProScript because it's pulling directly from EMIS Web to say what is in there. If any item is missing that you think should be there and which hasn't been updated as repeatable, you've got the ability to F6 update the list. Alternatively, if you're ready to send what you want, you tick the items that you choose. Against each of the items, you've got the ability to put a request query in. And at that point, when you're ready, you can then send that request through to the doctor's surgery directly. Having done that, no need to send any paper off, but ProScript does hold a record of what you have just done, and that can be found under the RMS module. So if I go to the RMS module, we'll now see a list of everything that's been going on in ProScript, and as you can see from the type, we've got a standard RMS paper request waiting to be sent, and I've now got two different requests here for a particular patient that we sent through the Meds Manager module. If you wish to just view the Meds Manager outputs, then you can use this type button and you can just do the MM, which will then only show you what's been sent to the surgery. Obviously, this is a test system and it doesn't actually connect directly with a EMIS Web surgery, but I can give you an idea of what the statuses would do. So at the moment, the status is saying it's request sending. So it's waiting for an EMIS Web surgery to pick that up. And that status will stay like that until it's been received by the surgery at the other end. Once it's been accepted and is sat waiting in the medicines management workflow module, then it will update to acknowledged. Once the GP looks at that request, and he may authorize that request, as soon as he approves it, the status within ProScript would update to requested, and subsequently the items down the bottom which relate to that would show as requested as well. For whatever reason, if the GP accepted some of it and declined one of them, then the GP has to put in a note which will be displayed within ProScript of why they have refused that particular item. It might be that they're requesting it too early. So in those cases, if some have been requested and one's been declined, it would be partially requested. Once ProScript downloads that script into ETP through the ETP module, again, the status within Meds Manager would update to booked in, showing you that that script has arrived. So it gives you a clear track really of what's going on within the system, and you can see what you've sent and what you've received back, and again what you've worked, because as soon as you've labeled that particular item, the status updates to dispensed. So Meds Manager gives you a really clear understanding of where something is, what you've done, and what you're waiting back for. Also included in ProScript Connect is a private prescription register. This is fully integrated when dispensing a private or veterinary script. Scripts are held on a register and are supported with printable and savable reports. So once again, let's go back to ProScript Connect and have a look at how that functionality can work. So if we go into a particular patient, on receiving a private prescription, we need to go to the relevant area of RX type, and we can change it to a private script. From this point, what we can do is we can pick a particular item. I'm just going to pick one off the list, and I'm going to take you through the dispensing process and follow it through to the end as normal. Now, at the end of doing the particular script, choose the date that the script was received, pop in the relevant detail, choose whether to endorse the piece of paper you've received, print labels and such. But on finishing the script, normal process continues, order basket will come up and back to the main screen. ProScript Connect, under the ProScript Connect menu, has, under the reports function, the private prescription register. And this is where we'll now see the particular item that we've just dispensed and a representation of all the other private prescriptions and veterinary prescriptions that we have done. Now, the system is picking up certain prices based on a number of different settings which can be controlled within ProScript Connect. And these will differ from pharmacy to pharmacy. So depending on whether you want to look at the supplier price or you want the drug tariff price, there are a number of different options in the application settings that you'll need to look at. To do that, we'll go to the ProScript Connect menu. This time we'll go to the application settings. Within here, if you scroll down the list of categories down the left-hand side and continue all the way down to pricing, it's within here that you'll see a group of settings which basically control how that particular module or the pricing is defined within your pharmacy. So you have the private prescription margin, which in this case is 50%, private prescription fee, which can be added as an extra. Got your private prescription maximum profit, which is set to 999.99. And then we have a private prescription minimum charge, which in this case is currently set to £8. Changing of these settings will have an effect on how prescriptions come out, and it's about finding a balance between what you want and what works for you and getting it right to make it fully work in your capacity. So we've had a look at some of the features that are available to ProScript Connect, some of the modules that are out there. And if you choose or you're interested in any of those modules, please contact the sales team and they'll be able to direct you in the right direction of how to go about getting those and any pricing that might be involved in those. Going forward, ProScript Connect, the latest release, has been rolled out over the past few weeks. And this is what we call ProScript Connect 1.26. The new 1.26 version has exciting new features in it, and we're going to take a look at some of them now. 1.26 has 10 new application settings, and again, some of those will be covered in this session. We've also made over 100 enhancements, or 100 plus enhancements, which have been provided from your customer feedback. Some of those new features include, and we'll go through some of them and how you turn them on as well. So the first one we've got on here is the automatic login using a smart card. Now, users are required to have their own logins created within the user's manager, and the application settings will need to be changed to allow this type of login to happen. Once activated, a new button will appear against the login window and you'll be able to log in with your smart card. So let's just show you how you enable that. So first of all, as we mentioned, each person who wishes to link their smart card to a user will have to create their own login type. So from that, we can go to the ProScript Connect menu and go to Users Manager. And it's within here that you'll either create a new user for the individual or you'll probably already got one connected. We edit that selected person, go into the setup of it, and you will see that you will be able to link the smart card to that particular person. And at this point, you'll make sure that the smart card is in the machine. On pressing link, it will tell you whether the smart card is authenticated and as such would link that to that particular user. This is again a test system and our smart cards don't link properly to this system, so I'm not able to set one up and show you at this point. Having done that part, you will also have to go to the application settings And in the top right hand corner, if you just type the word smart card, then you will be able to see an application setting that you'll need to change to tick to say that smart card login is enabled. Once you then log out of the system and you're prompted to log back in, when you receive the little window that where you'd normally put the username and password in, there'll be a new button on that window which says login with smart card, and you just click it and it will pick up the smart card that's in the machine. We've also enhanced the search for prescribing organisations. So one of the difficult things with searching the national database, sometimes it can prove a little difficult to find the prescribing organisations. So again, if we go back to ProScript, go to the application settings under the ProScript Connect menu, and I'm going to go down to edit my prescribing organisations. If I just click on search the prescribing organisations in the national database, if I do a / and then enter a postcode or part of a postcode, we'll now be able to find particular surgeries based in that postcode area, which makes it an awful lot easier to find when trying to link them to particular prescribers and such. We've also enhanced the patient search for MDS patients. This is a very simple change. So when searching for particular patients within ProScript, I'm going to go to a particular screen here, we'll be able to see that on the main search screen here, we have the name, the date of birth and the address of the person, NHS number. We've now added the ability to see a care home or the care group that the patient might be assigned to if they are an MDS patient. Okay, just going to go into our MDS patient, find one. So if I search Ellis in this screen, as you can see, the information populates with the MDS flag, but also with the new group care home group that that person has been assigned to. What we've also done within the MDS manager is that we've added the ability to create templates. And within here, you can create a template for a nursing home and you can create a template for a community patient. I'm just going to click into that template. This gives you the ability to define what settings you want, what times you want against the home or group, what layouts you particularly want, and what other settings that you want in there as well. Having saved that, when you go and search a new particular patient, we can go into the patient's details. And when we say we're going to add to the community, it actually picks up the template settings that we've already created ready for you, as opposed to having to enter them from scratch. It's quite a time-saving measure and really handy for the people I've seen using it already. What we've also done within the MDS module is that we've given the ability to do different types of cycles against the home. So if I edit the particular home that we're looking at and go to the Others tab, previously we had a medication cycle, which was just a free typable box where you entered 28 days or 7 days. We've now changed that to radio buttons, allowing the users to have 28-day cycles, 14-day cycles or 7-day cycles. So again, just gives more variability on how you want to use the particular module. One of the other features within the MDS module is the ability that when you highlight a particular patient, and I'm just going to put this on preview, and you hit the print MAR chart button, it gave you the option before of printing the individual patient or all the patients. What the system will now do is it will give you 3 options. You can either print the individual patient which you have highlighted, you can print selected patients, or you can print all. Difference being now is if I print selected patients, it gives me a list of all the patients that I want to choose to print at this point, and then I can choose to print the selected or print all. Just got a couple more little features to go through that's been added into 126. When adding items to the order pad, we now have the ability where you can scan the pack on using the 2D barcode that's on the side of the pack. Again, this will have to be configured through application settings. It just won't work straight away. So let's have a look at how we do that. If we go to the ProScript Connect menu, go to application settings. This time in the category list, we're going to scroll down to ordering. And again, in the ordering module, we'll be able to scroll down to the list, bottom of the list of settings. And within here, you'll see use the FMD barcode to add items to the order pad. This will need to be ticked. System may prompt you to log out and log back in after doing that. When ready, we hit the ordering module. Now, when our order pad comes up, at the point of hitting add item to the order, we're able to scan the 2D barcode on the side of the pack, and it will pick that up from the system and allow you to add it to the order pad. Again, my test system doesn't allow me to do it, so unfortunately it's not something I can show you straight away. And finally, one of the things that I think needs pointing out is the ability to transfer patients' contact details now via the PDS. One of the more important pieces of information required in any ProScript pharmacy is a telephone number for the particular patient. And with the latest update, we are now able to pull telephone numbers using the PDS sync within the patient's PMR. So again, if I go into the patient's PMR, patient details, and if I'd got missing details in here or I'd wanted to pull anything from the PDS, hitting this PDS would pull the most updated address, contact details and stuff like that. So to enable it to pull the telephone number, again, we have to go to the application settings. This time we're going to go to the ETP module settings. And again, if you scroll right to the bottom, you'll have the ability to transfer patients' contact details via PDS. And you'll need to change that to to yes by ticking it. Please be aware to read the information down the right-hand side. If enabled, patient contact details are saved via in the PMR via the PDS sync. Please note that by enabling this, users must take responsibility to ensure that consent has been obtained from the patient to use those details. So then pulling that information, it will now pull back into the system. Oh, there's just one more on there that I forgot to mention, and that is allowing of foreign postcodes. Now, there are some sites that will actually need to store foreign postcodes against their particular patients because they live abroad for whatever reason, part of the services and stuff like that. And ProScript in 126 and above will allow you now to store a foreign postcode in there. So there are many more features which have been added to ProScript Connect, and these can be reviewed from the What's New page within ProScript. So if I just go back to the home screen, you'll have the ability that down the right hand side you have a What's New page, and if you click in this, it will load up a window and it will show you what the What's New page is and will detail all the changes that have happened in the latest release that's come out. This usually pops up when the latest update has been pushed out. Majority of the time gets closed down without other people seeing it, so just to make you aware that it is accessible at any point of the day. For further assistance to the changes, these can be found under the newly named online training module. This can take users to the ProScript Connect user guides. If this doesn't load when you click in it, it should log you in with a single sign login. But if it doesn't log you in for the first time, then if you log a call with our technical support team, they'll be able to sort out your access to it, and you'll have a complete list of all the different modules and all the different user guides that were within the system. It's quite a comprehensive list of everything that goes on within the system there. So thank you very much for joining us on this presentation and going through some of the features that are new within ProScript Connect. I'm going to hand you back to Darren and see what questions have come in.
Thanks very much, Paul. That's very enlightening. Very good. Okay, so we've had a few questions come in. I have hopefully answered those in the chat that you've seen there, but I'll just go through them as we've got them on there. So question from Nitesh: are there any plans for the ordering module to integrate with a non-EMIS surgery? Nitesh, as far as I'm aware, unless Paul can tell me any different from here, I don't believe there are any plans to do so at the moment, Paul. Are you aware of anything different?
Not that I'm aware of any different, but we will double check with the powers above, and we will get back to you on that if it's any different.
Absolutely. Okay. Private prescriptions, the ability to price at drug tariff or manufacturer's prices. How do you do it? And Stuart has asked that. So I don't know, Paul, if you can possibly just show under ProScript, under the config settings there. There is one called private price basis on there.
So that's the pricing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it should give you the option to do it by the drug tariff cost price or the actual item price on there, as you can see. It's actually called the private price basis, Paul, rather than the over-the-counter price basis on that. That's all right. It's all right. It's very similar, I think, on there. But you should see it.
Is it not on there?
Somewhere.
There it is. Sorry, private one. Got the wrong one.
That's one. Yeah.
All
so as
similar.
with all these configs within ProScript Connect, it will always tell you on the right-hand side what the default is and what that config will do for you. So there are loads of little tweaks within the system there. This being one of them for you on there. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Stuart. There. Mike says, will it be possible to get a recording of this session later? Yes, one will be sent out, I think, to all the attendees of the group towards the end of the week, along with any copies of the Q&As on there as well. So yeah, that will be coming. Let's have a look. Anyone else at all? If you have any questions, please do fire away. Let's have a look. So Joe has asked, is there anywhere to mark the consent for the PDS sync? Joe, I assume you mean consent on an individual basis on there per patient. Paul, I'm not sure if there is under the patient's PMR record.
So any consent for a particular patient or all consent for a particular patient, if you go into the repeat request, you have the ability to review the consent, and normally the consent is based on GP collection. You're collecting it from the GP, you're doing a collection and delivery, or you're doing EPS, or you're doing a combination of all of it. Our consent form covers that. I think what the question refers to is the fact that when I showed the setting about the contact details coming through PDS, it's get permission from the particular patient to access it. So if you ask verbal consent, are you happy for me to pull those details from the spine, then I think verbal consent is enough on that. I don't believe there's any written consent within the system at the moment, but it's certainly something that we can request through the development channels.
Brilliant. Okay. That's it. Here we go. Got another one from Raj. Can we upload Pharma Outcomes flu jab consultations into ProScript Connect PMR records?
So there is, again, there's other features going on this week and next week with the Pharmacy Live events, and there is a session on Pharma Outcomes. There is a Pharma Outcomes button which will appear. It's not on our test system because we don't have test environment for it for our training needs, but in the blue bar at the top you would have what we call the, you've probably seen it, Pharma Outcomes button, and as such it's got a little red cross in it. If you click that button, it'll take you to a web page. It'll prompt you to log into your Pharma Outcomes login details. Once that's done, come back to ProScript. That little Pharma Outcomes button then has a green tick in it, and going forward from there, when you hit that within anybody's PMR, it'll take you to a window to show you what services you can perform through a Pharma Outcomes, take you to the Pharma Outcomes website with the patient details passed over, do your particular services, and then coming back to ProScript like a flu jab, it would say, do you want to dispense that against the patient's PMR as well? There are training material available on the Sports Centre, and I believe there's some videos of how all that works on there as well.
Okay, excellent. Just having to check. We haven't had any more come through at the moment. We'll give people a couple of minutes to think if they have anything they want to add in. I'm going to point out one and just get Paul to show you one myself. This is one I really like in 126. Probably might not be no one else may be that interested about it, but as you may well know, you've got the ability to add your own shortcuts down the left-hand side of ProScript Connect, but we now have the ability to remove those shortcuts from there. A couple of mine sort of bugbears on there are MDS Prep, MDS Scripts Due. I've not seen many pharmacists use that at all, so they've always been unable to be deleted from there, but now in version 126 you do have the ability to remove those links on there, any of the modules that you don't use, and they're only the links down the side. If you decide that you want to add them back in at a later date, you can do from there. So a pretty comprehensive list, as most of the modules within ProScript Connect will be on that list as Paul is showing you, so you can add any quick access links down that left hand side if you wish to do so. And as you probably know, you can add links to external sites, websites on there as well. PMR, the EPS tracker being a very popular one to add in, NHS mail, whatever you want to, essentially, and that will open up as a separate tab, but within ProScript Connect itself from there. So that's a handy little hint I like to tell people about.
And if you are adding any new links down the left-hand side, you do have the ability to add a hotkey, which is like a shortcut into those areas as well, if you choose. Yeah,
absolutely. So we've just gone crazy with the questions now. We've just had about 11 more come through. So let me just have a look as we go through. Bear with me just as I check these on here. So Jay says he's noticed there's a patient access symbol up there as well. I'm not sure
so
what.
That's, I believe, when you go into particular patients' PMRs. I'm not sure if this is, he spotted a patient access symbol up here, and that's just the linking of the patient access patient to the PMR for things like smart pharmacies and stuff like that.
Yep, okay. Someone's asked, can you show us how to check which version of ProScript that we are on?
Absolutely. So if we go to the ProScript Connect menu at the top, and again, if you go to the control panel part and go to About, you'll be able to see which version you're running.
Okay, and also the search function in the settings application. So I think that's probably just the main search facility within the config settings. Paul on there.
What, just to go through what's in there?
Just to show you where the search bar is, I think from that was right. From anonymous.
Yep.
I'm not.
So if I go to the application settings under the ProScript Connect menu, again, if you not quite sure what you're looking for, everything's proportioned off into particular modules. Sometimes we struggle to find where a particular application setting is. So in the top right hand corner, you've got this little yellow search. And again, like I did earlier on, if I type smart card and spell, it relates to any settings to the particular smart card. Or if I want to change what configuration is on my bag label, I can type bag and it will show me all the configurations to all the bag label settings.
Okay, Ola has asked, is there an option to add a flag for repeat prescription patients like MDS and CDS patients?
Not at this time, apart from just an RMS patient. We can flag a patient as an RMS patient, but I don't think it actually puts a flag in the top right hand corner. There are a couple of other flags that have been requested. Lots of different flags that can appear in this top right hand corner, and again, it's just something we just pop through to our development team as a request.
Okay. Stuart has asked, is there any way of applying changes to ensure that all branches in a company have the same settings, or can this only be done individually? I think we're probably getting off tangent on there a little bit, looking at head office.
So yeah, head office. So from a head office point of view, a group of pharmacies which are controlled by a head office can have system settings pushed down to a group of pharmacies within a particular area. It might work a certain way, and you can have multiple templates to push multiple different types of setting downs to different sites, or you can just have them all on the same. If you are going to be head office controlled, then the site individually don't have access to application settings. So some of the stuff that I've been showing you, if you are a group, you're not going to be able to change, and as such you're going to have to request somebody at head office to make those changes for you.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, nothing new coming on. We do have a few questions in there. I'll have a look at extra details. We say we're going to be sending out the Q&A answers to you as well, so there may be a few additional questions that people have asked that will be answered within those sections. There are probably a few little checks that we need to do before we can answer those at the moment, but do keep your eyes out for those published Q&As that will be coming out to you after the session from there. Okay. But do feel free, if you do have any more questions that you want to ask at the moment, please fire away. We'll give you another minute to think of anything else you want to ask us on there about today's session.
No.
Okay, not at the moment. So I think, as I say, we'll have a look through those questions, and we'll put forward on the Q&A answers that were coming out to you after the session on there. But just like to thank everyone for their time this lunchtime, and of course do be aware of those extra sessions that will be available over the next coming weeks. So thank you everyone, and just leave you for Paul to say his thanks and his goodbyes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and goodbye.